Hello, I'm a little bit early, as always. Hello, I'm a little bit early. Sorry, guys. I'm just. All right. Let's give it another 3 minutes, and we go from there. Uh, if you hear my little one in the background, that's because it is Saturday. Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you, William. Yes, Ian, it's the correct spelling. Thank you. Good afternoon. Hello, hello. Hi, Donald from Chicago. Hi, Mark. Hey, guys. All right, before I start answering questions, I did schedule this for 2 minutes from now, so let's give it another 2 minutes. I am here today because actually, funny enough, I was not planning on doing a live today, but I am right now trying to look for a load for one of my guys. And considering the fact that the load board is moving at, I mean, a snail's pace is too fast. There's really nothing coming out for the past 4 hours at this point. So I'm keeping my eye on the load board, but I decided, hey, if I'm sitting here, why not do a live and suffer through this together? Yeah. On flatbed Saturdays, are definitely not the ideal. Although I thought that this market would have more to offer, but upon a closer look, unfortunately, it looks like this market has a lot of loads that seem good, but when you start calling on them, they're kind of yucky. Mm. Yep. So like this. Let's see, where am I right now? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, perfect. All right, let's get started. All right, how is the freight market? I can't make any money, power only. The freight market is currently on weekdays, at least for us, because we're a flatbed carrier. On weekdays, it's not, it got a little bit better at the beginning of 2025. And last week was a little bit more challenging than the week before. But in general, I still maintain the fact that brokers are more willing to negotiate. However, when they do have power, like on a Saturday, like today, they definitely use it. And sometimes in the worst possible ways. I had a little bit of a tiff with one broker today. So yeah, in general, the freight market, it's not where it should be, but it's easier to negotiate. It's easier to negotiate, but sometimes you have to really wait for your turn to negotiate. It's not like you log into the load board early in the morning and that's it. There's good loads to choose from. You have to sometimes wait for brokers to panic a little bit and go from there. Uh, by the way, what duration has your DOT authority been active? 5 years, 7 years? We started in 2019. So yeah. I'm interested in starting trucking. Any advice? So my first piece of advice, well, it all depends, right? It depends on how you're looking to get into this industry. Are you looking to open your own MC and start working under your authority because that will present different opportunities and challenges? Are you looking to lease on to a carrier after purchasing or financing your own truck? Or the dreaded one, are you looking to do a lease purchase program for with a carrier, which is something that we talked about yesterday. So it all depends. One of the biggest challenges with starting your own trucking company and working under your own MC right now is the fact that brokers are still very kind of skittish, I would say, when it comes to new authorities. And the only one that I know of that will work with a new MC is TQL. Um, yeah, and even then, I have heard stories from folks who have been banned by TQL for absolutely no reason after doing like one load. Now, if you're looking to lease onto a carrier and have your own truck and work under that carrier's MC, perhaps that is a better way because that MC is aged. They will have loads for you to book. Brokers will be able to work with that carrier. Then it all comes down to how are you purchasing your truck? Are you paying for it cash? Are you putting a huge down payment in order to minimize those monthly payments? What is your credit score like? And so on and so forth. Hope that helps. uh, See, you're always sun. Well, I'm glad to be the sunshine. Thank you. I try. I try. Um, mm, do you think trucking will be affected by the deportation program as far as drivers for the good? So I think it's a really good question. I mentioned this before. I think in trucking, at least in terms of drivers, in order to get your CDL, you do have to have proof that you're either a legal permanent resident or you're a citizen, or I think even a work permit works here, but you have to legally be here. Now, that doesn't mean that there are absolutely zero individuals who are driving semi trucks in the United States while not having a CDL at all. There are, and there was actually a story about a year ago of how one of those guys was deported, I think 10 times, came back the last time and ended up on his semi truck getting into an accident and killing a bunch of people. So yeah, and though in that regard, in terms of people who drive here completely without a CDL, yeah, those people are at risk of being removed from the country. In terms of everyone else, yeah, you have to be legal in general to. I mean, you have to be legalized here in some sense to get a CDL. It's not like a regular driver's license. Oh, in other words, less competition on rates. Yeah, that's what I mean. It sounds, when you think about it, yeah, it sounds like that's what it would do. But again, unfortunately, CDLs are a different animal and you do have to have some kind of status here. Trump is embracing H-1B visas. Do you think this will affect trucking, H-1B visas? I have to remind myself because my head is my head is in the sand right now. Give me 1 second. Specialty occupations. Got it. Mm, no, I don't think it's going to affect trucking much in terms of the trucking industry by itself. No. Hi, William. Uh, what does the best model truck is better now? I'm guessing you're asking about what is the best trailer. I'm just going to take a guess here. Uh, the best trailer right now, in terms of the highest paid, in terms of the rate per mile on the spot market, is a Reefer. The lowest paid is a dry van. I'm sorry, and in the middle is the flatbed. Now, in terms of what is the best mode right now, February is usually a very slow month in trucking in general. And then every single trailer is subject to its own seasonality. Like flatbeds are very much in demand in the warmer months. They are completely tied to construction. So when construction is going on, that's when flatbeds are in demand and right before construction begins because builders, they usually need to do something with the land. I'm not an expert in construction, so like all the machinery will start being transported to those construction sites before the weather gets warmer. For dry vans, they are very closely tied to retail, of course. So any holiday seasons, end of the year is usually better for dry vans. Also, summer months are better for dry vans because they kind of uh, they help reefers out a little bit, we would say. And there's so much demand for reefers in the summer months because of produce season that a lot of the loads that could go on a dry van, uh, but I mean, that could go on a reefer in normal times. Basically, there's competition, right? Because all reefers start focusing on produce. So dry vans are left with sometimes transporting dry fruits, vegetables, onions, and then other times there's just better rates for them because there are no reefers around that could potentially also transport that commodity. So it's all depending on seasonality. In terms of right now, as of right now, there January, February, and I would argue even the beginning of March is a slow season in trucking. We're- Let's see. What is the ideal rate per mile for loads less than 700 miles? I get a lot of questions about, well, what should my rate per mile be? That will depend on a lot of things, right? It will depend on what is your cost per mile. That's the first and foremost. And every person's cost per mile is going to be different within my company. Every truck's cost per mile is different, despite the fact that they're all under one company. So that is going to be a big one. Number two is ideal rate per mile is like asking, let's call it profit per mile, right? Let's say that you are booking loads above your cost. So profit per mile, it's like asking someone, what is the ideal net income? It depends on the person, you know? Thumbs up, people. Thumbs up. um, In my 10 years of experience, it seems like the best way to be successful is to own your own truck and sign on with an established company. When you have your own authority, your overhead is high. Donald, that is true. I would argue that, especially in a challenging market, yeah, that could be a great way to kind of reduce the challenges of the market or reduce your expenses. And that's why I think that those people who are coming into this industry and are kind of set on, yes, this is what I want to do. I don't want to wait. I want to come in, get your own truck and lease onto a carrier because at least you don't have to worry about the fact that your MC is so new and that you are not going to find income, right? So, yeah, I agree. You are so welcome. CDL needs legal drivers to drive. Correct. Hi, Truckin' with Rick. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here as well, I suppose. Almost 1 o'clock. um, Around what month does trucking get busy in California? So for reefers, it's going to be during the produce season. Usually May is when things start picking up in California. So a lot of dry vans and reefers are going to be here. Also, California does have, I believe, the biggest port in the United States, which is the port of LA. I believe that's the biggest. Second biggest is port of Long Beach. I'm not sure. But the imports, right before the holidays, usually the imports come through those ports. So dry vans get busy towards probably September, I think, is when the ports start getting super busy ahead of the holiday season. Yeah, but for reefers, it's May. May is when things start slowly growing, and then the peak is usually in July. For flatbeds, California right now and for the past year, I would argue has been pretty bad. Yeah. I was finally able to purchase a good semi truck and going to use my hazmat and tanker experience to try and sign on with Quantix. Amazing. Best of luck. Thank you so much. Good to see you. What's the highest rate for flatbed have you recently seen booked on for your drivers? I have seen some really high rates for flatbeds, although they were going to Alaska, which is why now I am gun ho about getting authority that is going to allow us to travel through Canada to Alaska. The best rates I have booked have always been military loads. I really enjoy military loads. My guys enjoy military loads because they're usually very simple. They're very straightforward, and of course, military bases in our experience have the best people, the kindest people. All foreign drivers need to be disallowed to drive in America if they aren't American. Same with any other American jobs. Uh, what do you mean foreign drivers? Like illegals, or do you mean just anyone who wasn't born here? I wasn't born here. Jonathan, thank you so much. Do you think going under someone else's numbers is a better way to go other than own authority? I think that in this market, considering the challenges with brokers not wanting to work with new MCs, yes, this is the best way. Get your own truck, preferably something that's not going to have monthly payments and those crazy interest rates, and lease onto a carrier. Yeah. The only thing is, with getting into a business, if you have a seasoned CDL, that's the best, of course, because if you have a new CDL, then you might come across some issues with the carrier's insurance. Insurance companies for the past 3 years have been getting stricter and stricter. Like our insurance company, I think it's a 2-year minimum. It's perhaps even 3 at this point. Yeah, their insurance companies are scared of everything as well. um, do you think Trump will make trucking great again as far as pay? Truckers deserve per diem. So I'm not going to get political. I try to stay away from politics. I just look at the general situation, and I don't. First of all, I don't like to predict things because there are so many moving pieces when it comes to the transportation industry. I can say, however, that right now. Last week was a little bit worse, but in general, I feel like it's a little bit easier to book loads since the beginning of January. However, I think that this has to do with weather. At least I'm judging by what happened last year in January. And last year in January, we did really, really well. We were operating only flatbeds, and January is usually not a time for flatbeds. But because the weather was so crazy, capacity just temporarily exited the market, which made the load to truck ratio a little bit higher. So there was more negotiation. I'm wondering if this is the same thing that's happening right now, although I'm hoping, and the data suggests that there is something changing at the foundation of trucking. Yeah. But in terms of predictions, I try not to make them because, again, there's so many moving pieces. $3 per mile. Hello. Already have seen your videos on lease on authority. Is there something more we should care of regarding documents to show to DOT and about insurance? Knowledge, do you mean documents you need to show when you have a DOT inspection? I'm very proud of myself because 2 days ago, my guy got stopped in Oregon, and the DOT officer looked at his folder, with all the documents, and he was so happy. I love those folders. I love making them pretty with like an index and everything. But if you're talking about the DOT folder, is it roadside inspections you're talking about, or are you talking about what you need to keep in terms of documents for compliance in case of an audit? Yeah, if you could clarify that for me. Sorry guys, I just where was I? Let's see. Oh, and about insurance, can we have our own insurance or can it be with them? What's better if we want to lease on to someone? When you lease on to a carrier, you are going to be under their liability insurance that's required by the FMCSA, usually, right? Because according to the FMCSA, this is something that I have read a while ago. Even though you are leased on and you're truly an independent contractor because you have your own truck, that's not really related to the company. You bought it yourself and you're just using their numbers to book loads. According to the FMCSA, you're still treated as part of that carrier's fleet. So the insurance, you will be under their insurance. Physical damage is usually on you. Cargo, I am actually not sure. But I know that liability insurance for sure you have to be under that carrier. Sorry, guys. Let me just shoot an email over here. Uh, how to find a dispatcher to keep you moving. There are a lot of dispatchers to choose from. That I know for a fact right now. There really are a lot of dispatchers to choose from. There's a lot of competition, not just in the US. Apparently, the dispatchers are all over the world at this point. I get at least 5 calls a day offering dispatching services. You need to find a reputable dispatcher, someone with reviews, right? You don't want to go for the, you know, for lack of a better word, the cheapest option. I really believe in experiences of other people, and you want to see the reviews of what people say about that dispatching service. Thank you, Jim. Nice to see you again. I appreciate it. um, where was I? I lost my place. Um, I really appreciate all you do. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate you guys. We have massive ports here in Texas. Yeah. Yeah. Thank goodness that they did not do that shutdown, the ILA strike again. That was averted. Um, I've seen a lot of cargo bans. Market is very good. Small goods. That's great. I mean, people will have different experiences in this market, right? There are some people who actually did not feel the decline of the market as much as well. And I think those people are usually folks who own their equipment. They are not, the only thing that they felt is the increasing diesel prices, which by the way, what is going on with diesel prices? I know that the weather right now has an effect. I know that there were sanctions put on the shipment of Russian oil, but those diesel prices are just let's see what the diesel price is as of today, according to truck stops, shall we? I'm actually very curious. If I can get into my system really quickly, that would be great. Mm, no such luck. It's going to take me a minute. um, but yeah, I've been okay since I've signed on with a company. That is amazing. Yeah, you have to find a way that works for you, any way to survive. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to figure out what the diesel price looks like right now. So diesel prices, oh man. Yeah, no, there's actually no, they made a little turnaround. They've been going up, going up, going up. Yesterday, they were at $3.71 per gallon national average. Now they're a little bit less, not much. Yeah. So hopefully diesel prices get under control because I was just talking to one of my guys yesterday and he said the place where I was refueling for $2 something is now I think it was 40 or 50 cents higher and he's like you can't find $2 anywhere anymore. or $2 something. Uh, Please let us know which companies or brands offer the most competitive rates for leasing or purchasing trucks right now. I would like to hear your research. I actually, Vitali, I do not research lease. You're talking about lease purchase programs. If that is the case, I do not research that. I just, I research current news. I have a very, very bad uh, how do I say it? I don't like lease purchase programs because of the stories I have heard and read from people who have done lease purchase. I know that there are some good ones. Um, if that is what you're talking about, though, again, I have always been a carrier with our own authority, and we have always worked kind of under our own MC, and we have never actually offered a lease purchase program in our company either. Military freight can pay, the highest I have seen was $5 something per mile. Yeah. Um, hey, I was wondering, I haven't run across any other of my company's trucks on the road for weeks. They do, however, have a lot of tractors at the terminal. Should I be worried? Are you working for a very, very big carrier that usually has a ton of trucks? I mean, you shouldn't necessarily be worried. It's possible that they're currently, waiting for the situation to get a little bit better. I know that last year, Knight Swift parked a lot of their equipment, um, and was just waiting for the market to get a little bit better. Yeah. Um, I'm trying to find the best way to to maximize the season of produce with Florida. I live in the Midwest. Any thoughts? Are you only looking to go to Florida for produce? I would say, listen, Florida. I actually, I'll be quite honest with you. I have never had a good experience with Florida in terms of getting out of there with a decent rate per mile. It has always been deadheading out. And the way we used to do it when we had a reefer is like from Pennsylvania, there used to be a lot of loads going down to Florida. We would take a rate that is so high that it would cover the deadhead then from Florida, wherever that drop was, to around Savannah, Georgia, where we would always take our next load. So you always want to, going to Florida will usually pay better simply because everyone knows that getting out of there is difficult and therefore there is not much competition on loads going to Florida. So always try to negotiate a rate which is going to cover that deadhead out in case. But you're talking about produce season so you want to pick up in Florida. Why not? Were you ever looking at California for produce season? Usually the rates here for reefers in the summertime are pretty decent. Ma'am, what does it look like in the coming months in terms of the trucking business? Look, right now, there's one thing that is more or less certain in trucking, and that is seasonality. Now, seasonality is going to vary in terms of just how much it's going to drive trucking up or down. But seasonality has been there always. And I know for a fact that right now, January, February, and the beginning of March is a slow season. Construction is dead, nothing is growing, and people after the holidays, they're not buying much either. Usually, actually, some people say that no one buys anything until after tax season. They're all saving up. So the first quarter of the month is always kind of a lull. Usually things start picking up somewhere in May, in my experience. Yeah. Miranda, are your trucks getting 7 miles per gallon? You know what? I think one of mine is getting 8. But the other one, I'm not sure. I'd have to calculate it. And it also depends on where you drive, right? And how you drive. Lately, unfortunately, we have been forced to drive a lot to the Pacific Northwest with the mountains. And of course, there the consumption is quite different. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so your question is about the folder. What you want to do, what I have realized from the stories I've heard from my guys, DOT officers really appreciate a clean, organized folder. What I do is I just take a regular folder, I put an index, first of all, like page one will have this, page two will have this. Always have your authority letter there showing that you got your authority from the FMCSA. Always have the form MCS 90, which is the insurance. This is not your certificate of insurance. This is an insurance showing that the FMCSA has received the insurance from your insurance provider. So you want to have that. You want to have your IFTA license, the letter. You want to have your IRP registration. You want your trailer registration there. You want any permits like New Mexico, Connecticut, if you go to Connecticut, Kentucky, Oregon permit. I have my MCP permit there because we are based in California, and an MCP permit allows you to pick up and deliver within the state of California, like one and the same load. Then I always include, what else is there? IFTA, IRP, trailer registration, the permits. There's something else I'm missing. Authority, I said, right? Authority, I said, MCS 90, which is insurance, cab card, if you have it. But yeah, the most important thing is to have it organized. If you want a list, you know what, guys, I'm going to send this in the chat. 1 second. DOT folder. There's a really cool list. By the FMCSA. There we go. So I'm sending this to you guys. It'll have a list of what to keep in the truck, right? In that DOT folder in case you get pulled in for a roadside inspection. Okay, I'm going to, if you guys don't mind, I am going to skip over questions that I already answered. And as always, this video is going to be uploaded and you can rewatch it after. Trucking is trash. Rates are a joke. If you like making brokers and customers richer, stay in it. The value of truck driver isn't worth anything in today's society. You know what? On one hand, I do understand the part. I wouldn't say, I do not agree with the fact that everything is trash. No, I do not agree, just because my personal experience says otherwise. However, I do agree very strongly that what the trucking industry currently offers, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it for a person who's going to spend a month, sometimes 2 months, sometimes I don't know how long in a truck? Are those rates worth it? That is the question. And if they're not, not if they're not worth it, but on the other side, can you make that same amount somewhere else while sitting at home? So on that front, I do agree with you. Thank you for the time you put into making the different breakdowns on how the market is doing and the hot spots on the US map. Provides very good insight. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Sometimes, sometimes like every now and then I wonder, is this helpful? But every time I do a poll, everyone's like, yeah, keep it. So I'm glad it's helpful. Thank you, Killer, for cash. I appreciate it. I love that you always send 777. That is a lucky number. I really appreciate it. I've been wondering, what's your plan to grow your company? What does your final vision look like, and how much money would you need to make it happen? Look, my final vision, if we're talking about really final vision, the big picture, not like a short-term goal. My final vision is to close the loop. I want to have the carrier side. I want to have the brokerage side. I might even want to have a freight forwarder side together with the brokerage side. And then I ideally, there's someone in my family who used to do this. He was customer, right? The customers that we deliver to. So I would love to close that loop. That is my big goal. I want to get to the point where I have loads from customers that the carrier side can transport, and anything left over that other carriers can transport, and so on and so forth. This is the big goal. In terms of how much money would you need to make it happen? Yeah, you need a very, very sizable safety cushion to make that happen. And of course, a lot of work. You have to make sound. I mean, it's going to sound so ridiculous, but you have to make really sound business decisions, which means cutting back sometimes when it's necessary in order to move forward. Right? I think that we have done a pretty good job at managing our situation. As you guys remember, I have been talking about the fact that it did get a little bit uh, too challenging at one point last year, but we have managed to get out of that. And it's just about taking it one step at a time. I'm also one of those people. There are two types of people that I have at least the realized exist. There are people who want everything right now as soon as possible. And I'm not like that. I am a person who would rather take slow but very sure steps and take really calculated risks. It's one of my biggest problems, one would argue, but it's also a really, I think it's the safest way to be. I think I'm a little bit I have a little bit of PTSD from the market. So taking big risks, I think I could do that if the safety cushion was big enough where I felt like, all right, I'm good with losing this amount of money. But yeah, to answer it shortly, my big goal is to close the loop. Where was I? Uh, oh, I'm so sorry. I lost my place. Uh, Any idea why trucking schools are closing? You know what? I don't know. I can't say for certain at least, but there is a theory going around that there were a lot of people who are not legally here. So they are closing down. That's a theory. So I cannot confirm nor deny that. But yeah, I think also maybe there's not as much demand to get into trucking. If we take away all of that immigration stuff, I think there's not as much demand to get into trucking and to get your CDL at this point. So these schools are just losing money. I think a lot of them popped up together with the increased carriers that came in 2021. And now they're just not making enough. That's my thought process. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to This load board is dead. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. It is a Saturday, but darn, the last load came out 23 minutes ago, and that's a reposted load from 6 hours ago that the broker just doesn't reply. um, my bud is planning to operate intrastate in Texas. Does he need a DOT number or just a Texas DMV? That is a great question. That is a very specific question. Let me check my files because I did make at one point, what is it called? State startup checklist for every single state. So just give me a second and let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it right away, just shoot me an email and I will send it over to you. But in terms of state startup checklists, du-du-du-dum. So for Yeah, you need a Texas DMV number. For motor carriers operating intrastate commercial motor vehicles on the road or highway in Texas must register their operations with the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles Motor Carrier Division. If you want the link, shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. I'm in Texas and it's 308 for diesel today. Texas is usually one of those states that has the lowest diesel prices. That has been true for a while now, but still 308 is I mean, it depends where you are, right? In certain areas it's going to be less. But yeah, diesel prices went up, unfortunately. It's very sad. Hello. Um I am a dispatcher. I have a power only carrier in New Jersey, but I'm not able to find him loads over there. Is it because it's Saturday right now? Again, excuse my little one screaming in the background if you hear him. Is it because it's Saturday right now that you can't find it, or just in general throughout the week you weren't able to find load? Yeah, power only is something I was interested in just for a short period of time when I think at that time we had a dry van and everything went so bad that we were ready to just park the dry van and just do power only. You do need trailer interchange insurance for that, which we were not able to get so quickly. So that kind of went away. But when I looked at those rates, I was like, what is going on? I also hear more and more people talking about power only and having a little bit of a harder time. And someone said that they were working with Amazon. They're like the kings of power only. And yeah, the rates were a little bit sad. I would never recommend personally, from my experience, Amazon always offered rates that are way below the market. Eye in the Sky is asking, is anyone from Swift here? Make yourselves known. Um, Lease purchase programs are 100%. I also will never enroll with a lease purchase simply because drivers get cheated and lease purchase drivers pay all of the business expenses. Exactly. I agree. That's exactly what I was talking about in the video that I made yesterday is that's exactly what happens. Basically, all the responsibility ends up falling on the driver. Um, and the worst part is that the carrier still controls how much you make, right? It's not like being a carrier or working under your own MC where you can, I mean, the expenses all fall on you, obviously, but you also can control your income. Like I know, okay, today I need to focus on this much gross, or this week I must make this much gross. When you are lease purchase, a lot of the time you don't have as much of a say as to how much you're going to end up with. And carriers also have what is it called? There is a motivation for them to limit how much you can make because that way they save on that salary expense or the payroll expense. So, not all carriers, let's be clear, not every carrier is bad and will do that. But again, the way this lease purchase program has been abused is why so many people are so against it at this point. I was, but because of proximity of home base, PN California can work also. Yeah. I think that's something you will realize with a reefer. This is something that's great that happens in the summer is that pretty much every reefer is going to go towards produce. Not every reefer, but most of them are going to go towards produce because that's where they deem the money is at. But that means that other shippers that do not focus on produce are left with much less capacity. So they are more easy to negotiate with during the summer seasons. And that's why dry vans also do well. 100% corrupt. The lease purchase programs. Yeah. Um, I might have misunderstood your comment because then someone asked if you're with Swift. DOT inspection. Did I miss a question from you, Paul? DOT inspections are so fun. Don't you agree? I can't figure out what I want to drink, coffee or Diet Coke. Oh my God. Let's see. Appreciate you as an independent contractor. I feel like we should just be able to get legal aid as a true contractor since we're treated as owner ops. Yeah, one of the biggest problems in this industry, I would say, is no, you know what? I take it back. It's not one of the biggest problems, but it is a problem. A lot of people get misclassified in the worst ways and they get used and abused that way. Yeah, not the biggest problem, but it is a problem. It is a problem. Especially with lease purchase programs. I'm sorry, I cannot because those lease purchase programs have cost people so much money that they thought they were investing into their future, being able to have a truck, being able to have one day their own business, like business with a truck. And then all of a sudden, at the end, the carrier starts starving them out and saying, you know what, no, there are no loads and they cannot make the truck payment and they're left with nothing. So, yeah. Do you need insurance to buy a truck? If you're financing, they will ask you for all of the insurance. I'm trying to remember whether when we were buying the truck cash, whether they asked us to provide insurance. I believe they did. I believe not only did they ask us to provide insurance, which is funny, you have to have a truck, a VIN number in order to get insurance, but you need insurance to get a truck. So it's kind of it goes hand in hand. They also asked us for IRP plates. Yeah. Usually when you're starting out, a lot of those things have to be done at the same time, which is sometimes a little challenging to navigate, but it all works out at the end. Hello, good evening. What time is it in? Oh, it's almost 5 o'clock in New York and the East Coast. Oh, oh, you're talking about interest rates. Interest rates, they will vary, right? So if you are a big company, your interest rates are going to be way different than if you're a small carrier. We have seen interest rates from, I believe our lowest was 9%. I think this is the lowest interest rate we have seen. The highest was 12.75%. Yeah. And it all depends on who you go with. In my experience, BMO, as much as, they have helped us quite a bit in terms of getting a truck, an extra truck when we were looking at it. They have the highest interest rates. They really have the highest interest rates. The lowest interest rates, and I don't know if it has to do with the financing company itself, Crossroads, or in terms of the relationship I had built with one of their representatives, but they gave us the best interest rates. Yeah, and they have refinanced our trucks that were financed with BMO before. So I absolutely have a soft spot in my heart for Crossroads. So yeah, 1 second, guys. I'm gonna have to mute myself. My apologies, guys. I'm back. Um, hey, I opened a new DOT, NMC, got insurance, BOC, UCR, MCS 150, but carrier is still not active. What do I have to check? How long ago did you open your authority, Sammy? Because there is a protest period. I think it's 21 days. Your videos have helped me with my business plan for my box truck. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad it helped, or the videos helped. Thank you so much for the info and kindness. Love from Pakistan. Thank you. Let's see. I'm going to skip some of these. Sorry, guys. I don't want to keep answering the same question over and over again. Again, this is going to be recorded and posted. Miranda, do you do your own taxes? If so, what workflow do you use? For example, do you dump your data from ELD and data into QuickBooks? I do all the taxes that are related to trucking. And when I say that, I mean the heavy vehicle use tax, all the permits, the IFTA taxes, New Mexico taxes, all the state taxes. All of those I do myself. All the renewals I do myself. Income taxes I do not do because I just don't understand it. I do not understand it. So I do have a CPA who does the income tax side. In terms of what workflow do I use QuickBooks only for invoicing. My CPA actually, just to confirm what I was saying in terms of I do not understand income taxes, my CPA actually asked me to not touch our QuickBooks anymore in terms of how I enter in expenses. I have my own way of doing it and he doesn't like it. He has his own way. So yeah, QuickBooks, I just enter invoices and then he goes through the bank statements in order to enter in the expenses and categorize them the way that he understands. But on a daily basis, I created my own transportation management system using Airtable, and I use that every day. Yeah, I understand it. For me, it's clear how everything is going. And yeah, it might not be the official way of doing things, but for the company, it's clear. um, mm. Question for all of you guys. Does anybody make any money doing power only drive and I can't find a decent load? I have heard, I mean, again, I'm not power only. Right now we are doing flatbeds and my experience is in reefers, dry vans and flatbeds. And a little bit of experience in step decks, although it doesn't really count. So power only is definitely not my forte, but a question to you guys. How are you doing if you're power only right now? Do you think smog for trucks will go away? I don't know. I don't know. And depending on the state also. All right. So someone is maxing out Inc. has a dry van for sale for anyone interested. Mm. What is the worst cargo claim horror story you have heard and with which company? What is the worst cargo claim horror story we have heard? Well, I've never researched cargo claim horror stories, but I can tell you this. We nearly had a claim a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago, because basically my guy, he arrived to the receiver and they told him to start untarping. It was raining. They told him to start untarping. He started untarping, and another guy from the receiver came out screaming, "This is going to be a claim. Why are you untarping?" The thing that has saved us from claims for the most part is I think it's called the Carmack Amendment. Yeah, Carmack. Sorry. I need to check myself. Carmack Amendment. So what you want to do always is when you get loaded, take a photo of the loaded truck or the loaded trailer. Before you get unloaded, take a photo of the loaded trailer. The reason you want to do that, this has saved us multiple times. There was a moment once, way back when we had a reefer, where the shipper and receiver were the same company, and the shipper loaded cheese. It was like unprocessed cheese. It was leaking everywhere. And my guy took a picture of it. We sent it to the broker, and the broker said, good to go. But when we got to the receiver is like, this is a claim. And the only thing that saved us is the fact that we had the loaded picture, how it was loaded, and the way it looked, which means that it didn't change. It was not our fault. So always take pictures in terms of claims. Thank you again, Killer Cash. 7.77. Close the loop. That's incredibly insightful. You have a unique way of thinking. Now I'm curious about young Miranda. Your grades must have been good. You know what? Actually, okay, to be fair, when I was young and stupid, when I was, yeah, I never cared about my grades until I got into university. I was actually a horrid student. In university, I made the dean's list year after year. But before that, I was a little bit of a rebel. I was very, very, I was a lazy bones. My father used to call me, you're a lazy bones. So, yeah, when I was young and silly, I was lazy. But the moment I got into university is when I kind of started competing with myself for one reason or another. Um, where was I? Mm, oh, what do you think? Oh, sorry. I'm going to go back a little bit because I think, okay, you know what? I'll answer your question first and then I'll go back. What do you think we have? What do you think? We have our own MC for 8 years, one truck, not sold yet. I'm a dispatcher and my husband is the driver, but my husband left to work as a driver. We're waiting for the market to improve, whether to wait or not. Whether to wait or not. Um, oh, you're wondering if so what is the question, Alpha Cat? You're wondering if you should wait or not for him to return and work under your own motor carrier authority, or if you could clarify that for me, I would appreciate it. Um, okay, I stopped paying for DAT load for the DAT board because they did not have great loads without 7-day loadouts. Are they better now? You know, Jonathan, I actually don't use the DAT load board anymore. And the reason is because we are a flatbed carrier. And for flatbeds, it's pretty well known that truck stop is a better option. Just more brokers who focus on flatbeds use that load board. In terms of, I often hear folks saying that I don't like this particular load board because it doesn't offer good rates. Something to remember is that a load board, it's just a place for brokers to post a load. And most brokers will have access to several load boards. So whatever they post on the DAT load board, they will also post on the truck stop load board. It's just the reason I use truck stop is because flatbed specific brokers use truck stop more than they do DAT. So you will see more volume on truck stop for open deck trailers than on DAT. How do you find your operating cost as a lease on owner operator? Do you want to send me an email? I'll send you a cost per mile calculator. You will be able to input pretty much all your fixed and variable costs in there, and the average amount of miles you run per week or per month, however you want to calculate it, and then you'll figure it out. So shoot me an email. I'll send you two types of calculator, one that is downloadable to keep on your computer and one that you can do it online. Let's see. Life as a parent, you gotta love it. Yeah. No, kids are amazing. They're the reason, right? They're the reason, for most of us, this is the reason we do what we do, right? They're the biggest motivation there is. But they're so cute. They kind of live in their own innocent bubble. It's always interesting to see. Please add sprinters to your analysis. I would love to, Miralmo, but the thing is, in my analysis, it's based on data that is available. Unfortunately, sprinter vans, cargo vans, tankers, hotshots, that data in the place, at least where I have access to, unfortunately, they don't have such specific data for those equipment types. As I always say, if I ever come across a website or a database which has accurate data for cargo, sprinter vans, hotshots, tankers, I don't know, different types of equipments, I will definitely share it. Um, Okay. Sergio, when we open a trucking company, does it have to be specialized in one field or can it be multiple, like car hauler, reefer, flatbed in one company? You can do whatever you want. You can have multiple trailers in one company. Absolutely. Not a problem at all. You have to just understand that on one hand, that is a great way, especially if you have paid off trailers, that is a great way to adapt to the market because, for example, I don't know, like right now in the beginning of January, reefer rates were pretty darn good. If we had a reefer sitting around that was paid off, we would just quickly hop on that reefer and start hauling reefer loads. But on the other hand, you have to remember when you have so many different trailers, in order to operate them, they will all require different insurance. Like reefer will require reefer breakdown insurance. Car hauler has its own type of insurance. If you do something hazmat, that requires a specialized insurance. So the question is, how quickly can you add and remove that insurance as well? But yeah, you know, diversifying the types of trailers also gives you more opportunities to adapt to a market, whatever it's doing. Hello, Texas. I need to visit. Visited Utah, which was on my list. Now I need to visit Texas. Thank you so much, Hakeem. Uh, what about lease with option to buy? Is that considered the same thing as lease purchase? You mean through a carrier? Yeah, lease purchase is kind of you're renting to own, right? Usually it's on a weekly basis that you're making those truck or equipment payments to the carrier. And in your mind, you're investing into your future, you're buying out this truck. But unfortunately, that is sometimes not the case. Mm. Any advice for cargo van expediting? And is there a huge difference? So, unfortunately, I am not, I have never worked with cargo vans, so I wouldn't be able to give you an answer based on experience. But if anyone knows and can help out, maybe someone who has had experience with cargo vans or has experience right now driving a cargo van. Um, let's see, what did I miss here? We're not supposed to keep any other assets under the business name, right? Somebody told me that they can sue me for it if I hurt someone with my truck. What do you mean you're not supposed to keep any other assets under the business name? Didn't fully understand your question. Hakeem says that, okay, you made good money weekly power only. That is amazing. Can you share which market areas are best for power only right now? Can Airtable be connected to ELD DOT and taxes for expense revenue? Unfortunately, no. Airtable was not created. Airtable is like glorified Excel spreadsheet, pretty much. It was not made with trucking in mind, for sure. So unfortunately, it's not that specific. But yeah, I use it every day. I have a playlist on YouTube that you're welcome to watch of how I use it. I need to update that playlist because I have changed a lot of things at this point. But Airtable is a great way to keep organized for sure. I have all of my renewals there. Like I have dates when I have to renew something. I have um, my maintenance schedules there, all of my loads from the moment we started, all of the expenses, profit and loss statements, monthly reports, everything. Yeah. I just got my own reefer trailer, so I don't have to do power only no more as of last week. Congratulations, Hakeem. That's amazing. Reefers are right now doing the best on average, relatively speaking, in the spot market. This is the most civilized, not racist trucking channel. Thank you. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. I do appreciate it. I always listen. For me, the most important thing is to always remember that the way I try to set this channel up is just we're different people coming from different experiences, but we all have one thing in common, and that's trucking, which is challenging right now, right? And I think that there's so much to be gained from hearing the stories and reading the comments of other folks who are in the same industry and going through the same challenges. For me, when I'm having a really, really bad day or week, one of the things I do is I read the comments because then at least I feel like I'm not the only one. Someone is relating to me. I can relate to someone. I feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. It's so important, right? Hello, dissident. um, do you have a dispatcher lease agreement for owner operators for sale? I do not have a dispatcher lease agreement for sale. I actually do not. Interesting question. Um, ooh, what load board would you recommend for RGN oversized carrier hauling? You know what? I have seen a lot of RGN loads on truck stop. Again, not my forte, never worked with them, but a lot of oversized loads are posted on truck stop as it is. But I have seen RGN loads, RGN specific on truck stop. Although I wonder if there is a specific load board for that specific equipment types, like car haulers, for example. As far as I know, they have their own load board altogether that they use. I wonder if there's something like that for RGNs. Uh, do you know the best load boards for non-CDL box trucks? I would say DAT. That is the best in terms of that kind of equipment. I would like that CPM calculator as well. You know what, guys? I'm going to right now post two links that are to the calculator, depending on which one you want to use, right? So there's one that you can download. You have to just, you won't be able to edit it online. You have to download it first to your computer. It's through Google Docs, Google Sheets, and the other one is online. 1 second, let me post it here. So let's see. Okay. So this is the online calculator, number one. And this is the Google Docs calculator that you can download. So now everyone has access. Love it. We're very efficient today. What is the difference between BOC3 and registered agent? None. So, well, none in, okay, let me make it simple. BOC3 is the same thing as a registered agent, just BOC3 is kind of a blanket policy that gives you a registered agent in every state that you operate. However, there is confusion. I didn't answer one email I got yet. There's confusion. Well, when you create an LLC, you need a registered agent. Is BOC3 the same? No, not quite. Usually, when you open an LLC, you can be your own registered agent in the state where you open the LLC. But for a trucking company to activate your authority, not only do you need insurance, you also need BOC3, which basically is like a policy. It doesn't cost much usually, depending on who you go through, but it's not very expensive. And once you pay for it, it kind of assigns a registered agent who is there to collect any court documents on your behalf in every state where you operate. Usually, these blanket registered agents, BOC3, they are for the lower 48 states. Yeah. I hope that answered the question. I know that there is so much confusion about what BOC3 actually is, and it sounds so much more complicated than it actually is. And I remember being in that position too. I could not figure out BOC3. And the other thing that freaked me out is IFTA. Behi- Behind the desk with papers in hand, you steer the fleet, the heart of the trucking world. Thank you for your vision, guy. Oh, thank you so much. I love that poem. That is amazing. Thank you. Did you just did you just come up with that? Because that's incredible. Can you name some companies out of Texas for rental trailers? Unfortunately, I cannot, but I can name one out of Missouri, Villa Ridge. That's TNT. That's the company we have been renting our trailers from. And they rent, they have Conestogas, they have flatbed step decks, and they have dry vans sometimes. One of my puppies is really angry for some reason. Oops. On a roadside, I'm a roadside mechanic in Atlanta, and my buddy works for Nolan Transportation. We're thinking about getting into trucking. Nolan Transportation, I have worked with them before, especially with a reefer. Actually, I think recently worked with them flatbed load. They're not bad, I have to say. A roadside mechanic, we're thinking, oh, you're thinking about getting into trucking. Yeah. Are you looking to open your own MC or lease on to a carrier? Let's go. I love Nolan, very respectful broker. I have to agree. I have to agree. They are very, very respectful. Um, I think I had an issue with them once, but in retrospect, they handled it pretty well. So yeah, Nolan, I don't have much I don't have anything negative to say about them, which is surprising. No, there are a lot of brokers that are really, really good. The broker has scammed you and you are trying to contact the shipper's receivers. However, they keep responding by stating that they don't have a contract with you. Do you keep, if that happens, one of the things you always have to remember when you fill out a carrier packet or a rate confirmation, do you keep it in your files? You always want to do that. Always keep everything because I have had uh, multiple situations, not in terms of contract or a broker trying to scam me like that, but sorry, got hair. I've had multiple situations where a broker 6 months after the load is delivered, and usually this happens in January. Every January, something like this happens. 6 months after the load is delivered, they start saying, we never received this BOL. We need the BOL. After paying, after doing everything, they basically misplaced documents and they need it for their files. So I always end up sending them the BOLs and all the supporting documents that they're asking for. Yeah. If you have a contract, a carrier packet, or a rate confirmation saved, that should solve that situation pretty quickly. Oh, besides that, they're considering your actions as harassment, but there is a BOL Act which clearly states if brokers fail to pay, all responsibilities fall to the shipper receiver. Of course. Of course, when we got scammed, the one and only, and hopefully last time, the first and last time, by a double broker, or it wasn't even a double broker, it was just a scammer. Yeah, we went after the shipper first, and then we went after the receiver. Mhm. What is Airtable? Is it an app? It's not, yeah, there is an app for it as well, but it's a website. It's airtabletogether.com. And it's kind of a glorified Excel spreadsheet. For example, if I bought an office to operate out of, I'm only supposed to own trucks with the LLC and not an office, so I can't be sued for the office. So maybe lease an office or own. You know what? It's funny you should mention that. Remember, I used to work in an office. I decided to try it out. It was really hard to get insurance because we were a trucking company, and I didn't fully pay attention to what their reasoning was, but maybe this is the case, yeah. But we were, renting short term. Um, I watch your videos from Canada. Hello. That's another place I really wanna visit. I wanna visit a lot of places. Um I used TQL. They have all the loadouts. I did Midwest and picked up, sorry, I'm reading the small one when I can read the big one, and picked up out of Texas, Kansas City, Midwest, then out west. Got it. Oh, this is for power only. You use TQL. Midwest to west. Got it. I want to know if there's any way to start trucking in USA from Canada. That's a great question. You know what? I'll let you know once I figure out things with the Canadian. I'm not looking for Canadian authority. I'm just looking to start delivering to Alaska because those rates are, I mean, every time there's a load to Alaska, I feel like life is passing me by. Because those rates are amazing. So I'm sure I'll learn a lot about that. But in terms of Canada, so you want to live in Canada and open an authority in the US. Mm, yeah, this is something I would have to research. Oof, what is the lowest cost insurance for new carriers? Well, I can tell you, Dwayne, that when we started in 2019, we had a carrier called Trisura. That was the insurance carrier. And we got lucky because Trisura was a Canadian insurance company that was trying to break into the US market. So they had very competitive prices. They were A rated, and we were paying something like $24,000 to $27,000 a year. New CDL holder, new venture, new MC, DOT, new LLC, new everything. So that was quite a deal. Today, today it's a little bit different. Insurance companies have been so burned by the sheer amount of people who came into the industry in 2021 that they became very picky. I have heard people getting insurance for $35,000 per year. I have heard people getting insurance for $55,000 a year. So, for sure, one of the best things you can do is to shop around. And one of the most important things to remember is if you're looking to work on the spot market, especially when you're shopping around for an insurance, be careful. Do not fall for risk retention groups, RRGs, because most brokers will not work with you. And be careful of the insurance score, right? Brokers want to see an A rated or B rated insurance company. So when you have an agent, always ask, what is the rating of this company? Can you give us a video on the steps of financing your truck? I think I have a video that I made a very long time ago. It's not quite the steps, it's more like financing versus renting. something. If you can send me an email, I'll find that video for you and I'll send it to you. Miranda, I see some of those hot shotters that combined several partial loads to make a good rate. What do you think about partial loads changing for charging for deck space usage? I think partials are a great way to make money. However, I have never actually been successful at booking the kind of partial loads I need. One of the things that I have an acquaintance in the industry, and I believe it was him who said, in order to get good partials, you have to find one that pays really, really decent, and then see if you can fit something else on the truck. What I have been seeing lately is partial loads that pay, like, for example, here's a partial load that pays 60 cents per mile, right? And there's not a single other load going there. And it's a very, very short load, less than 500 miles. These kinds of loads you can't make money on. If you're lucky, yeah. If you're lucky and you are able to organize it in a way where you just add on to your truck, there is money to be made in it. I'm a new owner operator, and you've helped me a lot. Again, I'm reading the small handwriting, understanding the industry better. Thank you. Keep it up. Thank you, Trucker Science. I appreciate it. I'm glad it helped. Hello from Flat Rock, Michigan. What is the best load board for bulk loads? You know what? I don't know about that. I don't know because I don't have a subscription, but let's see what kind of equipment we have here for truck stop. I mean, they have everything. I actually really like truck stop, to be quite honest, and I'll explain why. They have some really, really cool features here. Number one, they show you, even if you don't have any extensions or add-ons, you can see the rate per mile, depending, of course, on your subscription. And number two, there's views, and they cover pretty much every single equipment type. But in terms of something that specific, I can't compare it to DAT, two biggest load boards, DAT and truck stop, right? Can't compare it to DAT because I just simply don't have a subscription to it. But yeah. Mhm. What's better, to work under Landstar or have your own DOTMC numbers? This is a question for folks who have worked under Landstar. I have heard people say that Landstar is horrific. I have people say that Landstar is horrific as a broker as well. Although personally, I have to say I have had normal experiences with Landstar. They usually are quick to negotiate. I've never had much of an issue with them other than the fact that when you upload your payment documents, they charge you for that, which is kind of crappy. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is it better to work under Landstar or have your own DOT and MC numbers? Less than truckload reefer in the South. Did I miss a question from you? If I did, I'm so sorry. What is going on with the reefer market? Let's see. Reefer looks to be, where's my heat map? We love heat maps. It's not loading. My internet is really bad. Fantastic. Okay. I log into, I go to dat.com because they have heat maps there that's posted under resources for those of you who are interested. But see, they stopped posting the specific maps for reefers, which is why I use sonar data. They're showing, it's just silly. They're actually showing that California is not fantastic for reefers right now. It's okay, it's warm, but not amazing. How difficult will it be for you to begin accepting hazmat loads? Is it under consideration? No, it's not difficult. You need a hazmat insurance. Of course, you need the endorsements. required for hazmat, you need the plaques or placards. What are plaques? The signs. You need the signs. Is it under consideration? No, not at the moment. What version of the DAT load board do you use? I do not use the DAT load board. I use truck stop, and the version of the truck stop load board that I use currently is, hold on, I'll tell you exactly which one it is. It is the one, it's the Pro. Yeah, because it has everything there. Plus, I use it to create the market updates, so I really need the Pro for the load to truck densities that I then use those numbers to create the maps. Yeah, that's the one I use. Let's see. Okay, let me go down a little bit. You're doing a lot better than most of us. If you went to university and graduated, I did not, but that's why I'm a driver and you manage the people who drive trucks. You know what, Killer for Cash? I don't fully agree with it. I think that I'm a strong believer, and this is something that experience has taught me. People who do really well in school, and of course, it's not applicable to everyone, but there are situations of people who do very, very well in school tend to not do as well in business or need more guidance in business because when you are book smart, usually that means that you might not be as street smart, the smarts that you need in order to make quick decisions, the risk taking abilities. And I would say that I am book smart. And I would say that maybe I need a little help in the street smart part. I get a lot of advice from, people around me. I don't make decisions all on my own. We're several people who are decision makers and we contradict each other. We rarely agree on anything and that it just works. It just works. If it was up to me, I would wear suspenders with 10 belts and put myself in a bubble where I'm saying, yeah, I'm naturally, that's the type of person I am. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Um, all right, let's see. I'm about to start up a hotshot business. Do I have to have insurance before I do FMCSA or can I file the insurance afterwards? If you're getting an MC number, you cannot activate your MC until you have insurance. I would do them together. Yeah. To allow for some like possible delays or whatnot. Yeah, I would start the two processes at once. Can we lease onto an MC through an LLC or does it have to be as an individual or both? I have heard of people leasing onto carriers as an LLC. Yeah. Any recommendations for insurance companies? We have been with Benchmark. In the first year, were with Trisura. Was it Trisura? Yeah, Trisura. And then since then, we have been with Benchmark. I absolutely love Benchmark. They're great. Just dropping in to say a big thank you. The videos you put up are a big help. How about more? Let's go. Thank you so much, Cody, for dropping in. And yes, let's do one more. Let's go. I hope you're still here because I'm so late. I'm like 15 minutes behind on comments, but ready? Let's go. Let's go. Okay, maybe that was a little too much. What was the average growth for one of your trucks this past year? What do you mean average growth? Like in terms of income? Is it profitable to have your own authority in the trucking industry today? You know what? That is it's an interesting question. And again, I'm not trying to not answer the question, but it depends on so many things. If you're a new authority, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to find loads. That is the problem that I am hearing about. That is the problem that I am seeing. That is the problem that I hear brokers even talking about, is that they do not want to work with new authorities because there is such ample capacity that they have the ability to choose from seasoned carriers and would rather use someone who has roadside inspections and audits and all of this and is kind of verified. Yeah. So it depends again on authority age. Um, a question about your productivity. As a company owner, what is your priority when you start your day? What do you consider the most important and critical task? Thank you so much for your channel. Thank you, Vitali. The first thing I start with always is load board. The first thing I do every single morning is I start prioritizing loads. Even if there are no loads to book, I will be looking at the market where we will end up uh, tomorrow or whatnot. But the first thing I do is load boards. Second thing I do is, it's a habit of mine, I go through the bank accounts to check all the transactions and I enter them into my system. Yeah, and I organize myself in that sense. Third thing is just going through permits, checking in on what's going to happen. But first priority is always loads. Income first, right? Organization second. Uh, no, Miranda, we don't need more new authorities right now. You know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from 100%. Something you have to remember, those new authorities that come in to the industry. You know how we look every week at the market update, we look at the capacity, how many net carriers, MC numbers have shut down. Those people who are coming into the industry, they're not considered, a lot of them are not considered dispatchable trucks, simply because there are those roadblocks that brokers place on those authorities, right? But yeah, I would agree with you. There is ample capacity right now, and the situation is nowhere near stable quite yet. I would pick power only trailers, load out 7 to 10 days, and use them on my way to the drop off point. Got it. Good thing to know you're okay and not harmed by this insane fire. Yeah, no, we're okay, thankfully. Actually, the Santa Clarita fire, the one that was next to Santa Clarita, the Castaic fire, that one I could smell. Yeah, that one was pretty disgusting in terms of the smell, but thankfully they are, I mean, it seems like they got it under control and it didn't burn much down in terms of buildings, so that's good. Plus, tomorrow it's supposed to be really heavy rain and possibly thunderstorms. So now everyone's freaking out about that because, you know, those burn scars, mudslides, all of that. So everyone's now focusing on the other side, not the fire side, the water side of it all. Hi, Writing Dirty from Is it Amarillo or Amarillo? Or is it just depends on your pronunciation? Um, Thoughts on Lone Mountain truck leasing. Why does that sound familiar? Hold on. It sounds very familiar, and I don't know why. Because I probably looked at them at some point when we were looking to purchase one of our trucks. No. No, because I was looking at them when we were looking to purchase or lease one of our trucks. Yeah, there was a time where we couldn't find a normal truck to purchase, so we were looking to lease it. They look familiar, but I don't have any thoughts on them because I've never actually chatted with them. Question for you guys, if anyone knows any good SAP companies for owner operators? Thank you, RJ, for your question. I closed my authority a year ago after being in business for 14 years, and now I'm with Landstar. Elvin, how do you like Landstar? What's your thought on them? Oh, there we go. Landster is great if you know how to book your own loads. I know a guy that gross pay 8,500 to $10,000 weekly, and I've talked to guys that are closing their business, so it depends on your business. Yeah, 100%. I agree. I mean, it changes, right? It changes depending on how you run your operation, where you run, and so on and so forth. Well, thank you for the information about this. I did not know about this $400 million investment. I'll need to research that. uh, let's see. What process app do you use to hire drivers? I used to use, I believe it was called Hire Safe to do background. um, on my guys, but then my insurance started doing all of it. So I used insurance. But my process is simple. The first thing you do is you interview over the phone, make sure that what you're offering and what you're looking for is in line with the person who is looking for the job, right? Usually that's where we unfortunately lose a lot of folks because of the scheduling issue, right? They want more home time, or they don't want to run in certain areas, or they say they will not tarp um, in winter months, or they don't want to work at all in winter months. So that initial interview is the most important. The next thing, I mean, no, not the next thing, but simultaneously, I also send their CDL. Once they send it to me, I send it to the insurance company because they're the decision maker. As sad as it sounds, if insurance says no, there's nothing we can do, no matter how much we like the person. And that has happened to me. I think I told you guys in my last live, I had a guy who had fantastic experience, but he had one ticket for speeding in a school zone, and insurance just said no, just because of that one thing. Yeah. So that's the process. And then it's the onboarding, right? Onboarding, sending the agreements, sending the pre-employment testing, and so on and so forth. So on and so forth. I just mangled that. Uh, the market is in really bad condition. I'm really upset. No grosses, no RPMs. Market is dead. Hopefully it will get better in March. Market is challenging right now, absolutely. It's not like we woke up and it's all fantastic again, but we also have to remember, and the reason I'm saying this is because I do get a lot of people who email me asking me, when is it going to go back to 2021 levels? I don't want to be someone who like destroys the hopes and dreams, but if we look at it from a logical standpoint, 2021 was a black swan event that was driven by a pandemic that caused everything to shut down, that created, like people got those stimulus checks and they were not allowed to go out. They were not spending on anything. Restaurants were closed, right? All of that entertainment. So they were spending on online to get things, to keep themselves sane. So the 2021 levels is something that it's not that it's unattainable. Perhaps we'll get not, I wouldn't say even close to it, but we'll get somewhere around that area, but it's not going to be 2021 levels. Right now, the market is challenging, though. I agree. Patience, I'm afraid. Um, can you get bare minimum insurance and activate your MC? The FMCSA minimum is $750,000 to activate your MC. Now, with that kind of insurance, you will not be able to work with brokers for the most part, because brokers require $1 million in liability. But yeah, to activate. Going to college has nothing to do with why she manages trucks. Most successful and entrepreneurs entrepreneurs did not go to college. I agree. I agree. Yes. College The older I get, the more I understand people who say that grades are just they're not the most important thing in life. I was raised to believe that this is a life or death situation, that grades have to be fantastic or else. Yeah, that's not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore. Amarillo. That's how you pronounce it. Amarillo. Thank you. Controversial question. Do you think it's okay for drivers to carry a firearm in their truck? I For protection. I mean, it's not safe. I read a lot of stories about how folks are, drivers are killed on the road. It's sad. I don't have anything against it. I actually had one of our team members, I like to call them team members because they were part of our team. He carried. Yeah, I had no problem with that at all. Uh, okay. Lone Mountain is good. I paid off my first truck with them. I have no complaints with Lone Mountain. Thank you, Indiana Trucker. I'll check them out in case we ever want to you know, get a truck from them. I appreciate it. Uh I sold my truck in 2022. I was doing power only at that point, still have my MC. It's not currently active. I'm going to reactivate it later this year. You have to follow the money. Yes. Just like we follow the money when booking loads, right? We always follow the money. I love when brokers sometimes they will ask when they're in a good mood. They will ask, well, where do you usually run? And I tell them wherever the load takes us. Yeah. So it's yeah, follow the money. Question: how many trucks do you ideally see yourself owning? Give me a number, please. I mean, ideally, and again, we're talking about big picture. I can't say ideally. I want 100 trucks. I want a big fleet. I want to be a mega carrier. I know some of you are going to be like, no, but I want to be a mega carrier. I I have big dreams when it comes to trucking. It's funny, it's like a love-hate relationship with this industry, but I love it so much more than I hate it. I feel at home here and I have big dreams. So minimum 100. Oregon, Yakima, very bad, no loads. For which equipment type? Uh Yeah. No, I agree. Is it even profitable for your company to still hire drivers for your trucks with the current rates? Because after equipment, insurance, and trying to stay competitive and driver pay, there is almost nothing left. 100%. Yeah, it's very, very challenging right now. Yeah. This is something that we're continuing to experiment with to find that balance of what works, what does not. But it is very challenging because, yeah, you do have to be competitive in order to find someone who's willing to join your team. And one of the big problems is not a driver shortage, it's driver retention, right? It is hard to be competitive while also ensuring that you make money. And for that, you have to control your expenses like crazy. Yeah. Lone Mountain is where I bought my truck. Oh, interesting. It took me years to make the decision, but being with Landstar has been a life changer. Great fuel discount and super low insurance. I'm glad you're enjoying working with them. That is great. Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things about Landstar as a broker. I've heard bad experiences from owner operators, but personally, as a broker, we've booked loads through them. I have not much bad to say except for that one complaint that unfortunately they charge when you send in your paperwork, but they have been pretty open to negotiations, which I always appreciate, even when the market was completely down in the dumps. Okay. All right, I'm going to answer one more question and then I'm going to bounce, if you guys don't mind. And yeah, I'm trying to do more and more lives. For those of you who have not realized, because it's always fun talking to you. So let me find a question that I have completely not answered yet, or um, I see the Miranda for president. No, thank you. I would never, ever. First of all, I can't. I wasn't born here. But second of all, I would never. Mhm. Here is the question to end it, because I really love your questions, Killer for Cash. They're amazing. Controversial follow-up question. Do you think it's okay for drivers to pull over and fire said firearm in the middle of nowhere? Not me. I'm asking for a friend. I would say it's none of my business, but personally, I would not do that. I would, you know, it's funny. I'm a really okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. Okay, I'll say it. My husband really likes going to target practice, and sometimes he will force me to go out. I'm a really good shot. Guns scare me. They just scare me. I don't know why. It's just so much power in your hand. I don't like it. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't like telling people what to do, nor do I like to judge people for what they do end up doing. Personally, I would not do so. Okay, one more. Let's see. Okay, last one. Do you run your trucks out of California? That is a great question. I get this question a lot because we are a California-based carrier, but we actually try to avoid California altogether simply because there are not as many loads here for flatbeds. Plus, the fuel expenses are ridiculous. Plus, the roads are not great. Plus, they try to catch you on everything. So we try to stay away from California. But the main reason is really because there are no outbound loads from California that are worth it. The only time pretty much we end up in California is when my guys are going for home time because they're based here as well. So yeah. But yeah, we are a California carrier. So there's that. All right, guys, I appreciate you all joining me today. That was amazing. I always love getting seeing your questions and answering them. Next week, yeah, next week as usual. If anything happens between now and Thursday, I will make a video. Otherwise, Thursday we have a market update. Maybe next Saturday I'll do another live if time permits. All right. Yes, I have my YouTube. I did get my YouTube play the thing. I did, but I gave it to my son and he hid it somewhere, so I'm left with just the letter from YouTube. um, yeah. Anyway, guys, I do try to answer all questions. Sometimes they're repetitive, though, so I don't want to answer the same question over and over again. All of the videos are recorded, and sometimes I lose my place, unfortunately. So I try my best. If I didn't answer your question that you really, really need answered, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm actually pretty good at I'm catching up with them. I answered a lot of emails, and I don't have that many in my inbox right now. So happy to answer. Other than that, wishing you all an amazing weekend. Yes, it's Saturday. The load board still has not produced anything in this 1 hour, 48 minutes that we have been together here. Can you believe it? But it's Saturday. All right, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.